Sometimes it'll be pen testing a web application. Sometimes it'll be an operating system. Sometimes it'll be corporate network level stuff. Sometimes it could just be a day in calls all day explaining to people stuff. I work quite closely with engineers. Because I work so closely with these people, I actually make a difference to the way they write code and make a difference to the way they think about how they're writing code.
Welcome to the Head of the Breach podcast. We talk everything offensive security with leaders and experts in the industry. I'm your host, Case Camilleri, and today we're here with Keiran Smith, lead penetration tester at Enable. Kieran spent the past 10 years in technology and has a very interesting background and journey through it. Kieran, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks.
So let's talk about that journey.
Cool.
How'd you get started?
I started in tech when I was super young. Learned how to do all sorts of stuff I probably shouldn't have learned how to do. Done my first SQL injection at the age of like 14. Learned how to code. Was a contributor to the Linux kernel. Contributed to a whole bunch of open source projects. From there, got my first actual real job at the age of 25 as a senior developer.
Now, I'm going to pause you right there, though, because like my first job as a senior, right? So like the things you mentioned before that were actually experience.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily work related.
But it kind of gave me like a broad understanding of various tech subjects. So I knew everybody knows PHP, I knew Java, I knew assembly language, C, C++.
Now, did you teach yourself?
I taught myself all.
You taught yourself everything, right?
Yeah, which I have some weird quirks when I write code. I have, but people probably think it's weird.
Like? Do tell.
I never comment anything. I'm one of these people that think if your code isn't documenting, it's pointless. Like the person behind you should come back and be able to understand your code easily, and you don't need comments to tell them how to do that. If you can read code, you can read code. Okay.
That might be a unique perspective compared to others, but I hear you though, because you're essentially writing in the same language.
Yeah. Like if you speak French or Spanish and you're speaking French or Spanish, then the French and Spanish people can understand you.
Yeah.
Which, my French is terrible, my Spanish is worse.
Well, we're filming this at Black Hat and DEF CON. I noticed you kind of have a little bit of an accent.
Yeah, so I'm from Scotland, best country in the world. Sorry, Americans. It is. But, so I'm from a region called West Lothian. It's right in between Glasgow and Edinburgh. A lot of my family are Glaswegian. So I have this like Glaswegian accent, and the way I say some things, some of the slang and vernacular I use is pretty different. I work with a whole bunch of Americans though. Pretty much our entire team, except from one guy in Romania, are American. A Romanian just joined our team, so.
Nice.
And I forgot. A guy sitting out the back just went, I'm Canadian.
Canadian. So, all right. So you started out, did some interesting things. SQL injection at age 14. And props. That's good.
I wrote a paper on ARP spoofing when I was like 16.
Okay. So you've been in this from your teenage years.
Yeah, when you get bullied at school, and like this is going to sound like a bit of a sob story. I was a bit of a loner at school, which probably most of us are.
Yeah.
Got bullied a lot. Learned some things. When you don't really go out to play as like a child, and you've got full access to the internet, you'll learn how to do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And my dad used to give me a row for downloading hack tools, Trojans, rats.
Nice.
I'm part of a coding competition to develop a rat, and I won it because it was the first remote access Trojan which supported UPnP, so you didn't have to do all the port forward and stuff.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's super interesting, because like most people don't have that type of that journey, and that if you get to spend a lot of time in front of the computer, it's why you get to do SQL injection at age 14.
Yeah, it's why you learn some things that most people don't.
Yeah,
like understanding like the full stack development process, and understanding like low level C, C++, and how like processors actually process that information.
Do you find that the software development background that you had, being able to write applications and code, has made you a better penetration tester?
That has made me a significantly better penetration tester.
Yeah.
Like having that knowledge to write. Like I write a lot of my own tooling. If I need to drop a payload on something, I'm not going to use like some randoms project on GitHub. if you check out my GitHub, you can use some of my code.
Yeah.
But I'll write in various different languages. I've always keep up to date. And most recently, I've been using Rust and developing like shellcode runners and droppers in Rust. And
Why
Right.
Rust? Just because you want to learn it?
I like
Because
it.
it's evading.
So Rust doesn't evade things by default, right? It's like every programming language. If you do something stupid and dodgy, an EDR or a heuristics detection will find it. I like Rust because it's memory safe,
Okay.
and you can't really do stupid like memory issues with it. Like
Yeah.
when I was a younger developer, I made a change, forgot to free a pointer
Yeah.
and a DLL, and basically done what CrowdStrike done on a
Yeah.
much smaller scale.
Just gonna say.
But it's all a learning thing. So when you have languages like Rust come along, which are memory safe, kind of like C#, but C# is just Java.
Yeah.
But Rust gives you full access to like your Windows APIs. You can do anything. Anything you can do in C and C++, you can do it in Rust.
Okay.
And if you use and when you're developing like malware, like droppers and stuff, you use unsafe Rust, and you can start bringing in things like the Windows NT. DLLs and bring in direct and indirect syscalls and bypass EDRs doing that.
Nice. Okay. Cool. So let's finish this loop though, because like you started as a senior, and then on your journey from a senior developer, like how did you get to become lead penetration tester?
So I went from senior developer. I done that for like 5 years, and then I kind of got bored, as people do. When you write code all day, every day, and it's just what someone else designed, it's a bit boring for some people.
Yeah.
So I decided to go design stuff. So I became an architect. That was more boring than writing code. Drawing pictures are not for me.
Yeah.
And like and telling developers what to do, because developers by nature want to build what they want to build. So an architect, you are the anti-developer, designing something that a developer would do totally different. 9 times out of 10 that actually happens, where a developer will go build what they want to build based on your design, so you don't get the same thing.
Okay.
And then at least to arguments and infighting within teams. From there, I joined a DevOps team, and a lot of my background before, when I was younger again, was learning like Linux and contributing to Linux projects. Massive fan of Red Hat and the Fedora project, and because of having that ability to do DevOps stuff, I started learning more about Terraform and Ansible, and like full systems automation. I learned a lot about networking, and learned about various routing protocols and how systems all communicate with each other. From there, I joined the DevSecOps team. When I was in DevSecOps, I started work. It was basically me and one other guy basically started the DevSecOps team where we work, and I was a pen tester. Well, pen tester, my job title was Pentest Engineer.
Okay.
But I would basically test our AWS infrastructure and stuff like that. It was the first time I'd ever pen tested a corporate network, which was really fun. Then from there, we started a real security team. And because I was a pen tester, I wanted to do it. I went and got OSCP, OSCE, and OSWE, and our CISO offered me a position as the lead penetration tester.
Nice. That's quite the journey.
Well,
All at multiple companies or same company?
All the same company.
All at the same
Yeah.
company. Wow.
So I've actually been at a company now for 7.5 years,
Wow.
which is a long time in dev years.
It is, but that's also really cool to actually see that progression in your career. And you've touched a little bit of everything.
Yeah, so like, I know quite a lot about all of our products and how they're all built and how they all communicate with each other. And I work quite closely with our AppSec and security architecture teams, and kind of give them advice and kind of work together to try and build a secure platform.
What does your day-to-day look like as a penetration tester?
So there's no such thing as a day-to-day as a penetration tester. Every day is different. So it depends. So it depends what people need from me. So sometimes it'll be pen testing a web application. Sometimes it'll be an operating system. Sometimes it'll be corporate network level stuff. Sometimes it could just be a day in calls all day, explaining to people stuff. I work quite closely with engineers. And this is why, like, people ask why I don't go and like make more money as a contractor, as a pen tester, or come work for a company like Sprocket and like get exposure to all this stuff. Because I work so closely with these people, I actually make a difference to the way they write code and make a difference to the way they think about how they're writing code. Like if I was an external and I was only doing a 2-week engagement, I wouldn't get to know all these people.
Right.
Where I have people now come and ask me questions, asking me for advice on how to do things the right way, and like how they can become better developers, which actually makes me feel better than just doing it for the money.
Yeah. You have, I'd say, deeper impact, right?
Yeah.
Instead of like a coverage of like how many businesses can I impact or help, it's kind of like I'm going to take this business and I'm going to deeply help in all aspects. Right?
Yeah, I believe in what our company does. So
That's awesome. Now, everyone wants to be a penetration tester, right? Like
everyone, this penetration tester sensationalized, right? You watch any hacker movie,
right?
Even the Matrix, everybody knows tanks, right?
Yeah.
It hacks people in the Matrix and gives them like all cool abilities. Everybody wants to be able to like break into stuff, be the bad guy. That's why Black Hat's called Black Hat.
Right.
But if you've ever been a Black Hat, that's not all about penetration testing.
There's the penetration testers are not really a Black Hat. You know, there's some there in the corporate world, but like, I was just walking the floor and there's a ton of suits.
Black Hat's corporate, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, DEF CON's for fun.
Exactly. So, what, just to level set for people that do want to be, a penetration tester, what are the non-glamorous things that you have to do as a penetration tester?
You have to be, you actually have to be okay with failure. 9 times out of 10, I won't find something.
Yeah.
I'm not a state-sponsored actor. I don't have unlimited funds and unlimited time. I have limited scope, and I'm a penetration tester. I don't have a budget.
Yeah. Right. You cost the business something, but a good CISO is going to showcase the ROI on that.
I get like my burp license and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I get the tools I need, but I don't have the unlimited budget to go and do things like whenever I want. So I'm going to fail.
Yeah.
As a developer or DevOps or architect, you have an end goal. I don't. So it might look like I'm doing nothing, and some people will go, what was the point of you doing that? Because you didn't find anything. But if I didn't do it and something did get found, people would be like, why did you not find that? Right. So you have to be fine with failure. You have to be fine there are people a lot smarter than you. Like, I might be a lead pen tester working for a pretty decent company, but I'm not like Mr. Reboot, who's a well-known hacker. I'm not Jay Haddock, who's a well-known hacker. I do have a little tiny blog, which I think I get like 10 impressions a week.
Well, hopefully this podcast will help boost that.
But failure is the biggest thing about being a pen tester.
Okay.
Being okay with failure and being okay with conflict.
Yeah.
Like, going to a developer and going, your code sucks, isn't the best introduction to people. And a lot of people do take offense. I'm not saying your code sucks. I'm saying, I found this. Yeah. It's like a QA engineer isn't going to.
So do you leverage your background as a software developer then to say?
Yeah, so like if I write a pen test report,
I would maybe do it this way.
Yeah, so if I write because I work for an organization, I do have full source code access. So it's not. I don't say it's white box because I can't live about the product. So it's more grey box. And if I find an issue in software that they've written, I'll tend to like give them either a good mitigation. Sometimes I'll be known to actually go make that fix myself, because some engineering teams are really stretched, and organizations, and helping them make that code change kind of makes that relationship a bit easier. Because if it's like, most vulnerabilities can be fixed by an if statement, right?
Yeah.
And if you can just go do that for them and go, here's a report, I found the issue, I've already fixed it for you.
Yeah.
Here's how to look out for it in the future. And providing like some sort of like automation framework around it.
Yeah.
So if I find like a blind SQL injection, it's there because engineers don't actually know what a blind SQL injection is. They'll just think it's an error.
Yeah.
Or it's not even an error, it's just a white page.
Yeah, right. That's true.
But that's what's blind about it.
Yeah.
But if you can show an engineer, like with like a Python script or something, or even a unit test, that this is how this SQL injection exists, you make them a better developer. You give them a confidence boost that they can find that in the future.
Yeah.
And then they can start building a regression suite. around your pen test findings.
Yeah. I remember the first time that I had a blind SQL injection and I showcased the developer how that actually works.
Yeah.
And it's like,
It's just like it's just like their whole world's opened up.
yeah, right. They're like, I didn't even know that's possible. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool, isn't it?
It might be like 10,000 requests just to tell you that your
Right.
your SQL version, but
Right.
anyone with the amount of time that wants access to your system will do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It works. It's pretty trivial actually too. Once you figure out.
Once you figure out how to do it, and once you figure out it's just like looping through and doing character by character comparison, then
Yeah.
it makes things so much easier.
So how has pen testing evolved over the years? From like when you 10 years ago to maybe now, what are some of the things you've seen that have changed?
The biggest change is bug bounty programs. So when you're like that little kid who wants to learn how to hack and you're just like loading up targets, say like NASA.gov, because everybody wants to hack NASA because it's cool.
Yeah.
So you start scanning things like NASA and you find like little stupid like file upload vulnerabilities. You have no way to report that.
Yeah.
And you're just like that little, what gets termed as a script kiddie who's done something for no reason or defacing websites and things like that. But now people have a way of practicing their skill as a pen tester and getting rewarded for it, whether it be with swag or getting money or challenge coins. I'm a massive fan of challenge coins.
Oh yeah. Okay.
If you hack the Dutch government, you get a t-shirt that says, I hacked the Dutch government and all they gave me was this t-shirt. They're like, swag is an awesome way of rewarding people with like tiny, like minimal financial impact.
Yeah.
Like in some programs, like if you look at Apple's program, you get remote code execution in Mac OS, they'll give you like $500,000.
Yeah. 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 'Cause it's big. That affects a lot of people.
It's massive. You hack a Tesla, they'll give you a car.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like that's why like Tesla and stuff bring things like cars to DEF CON, like to go to the car hacking village, to like help people hone these skills in a safe environment
Right.
where you're not breaking the law, you're not going to get in trouble for it,
Right.
like I did.
Yeah.
You're not going.
Wish you had that, like, 10, 15 years ago, right?
It would have been great. But that's probably the biggest change I've seen. And like running a bug bounty program, seeing like the way other people think is massively beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also 10, 15 years ago, it was easy to go find a SQL injection.
Yeah.
Now it's really, really hard to find a SQL
Yeah.
injection.
Yeah. Finally, the frameworks have actually helped.
Yeah, thanks to ORMs and stuff like that. And some companies will go and write their own ORM. I'll ask them why you've done that. But
it's kind of like rolling your own crypto, right?
Yeah.
Why?
Don't do it. You're not smart enough.
Yeah. Really? Is that where you want to spend your time, really?
This thing has been audited by thousands of people.
Yes.
And you're taking 5 people to go build it.
Yeah, right.
What are you choosing?
Sounds like a waste of time, actually. Money.
But that's probably the biggest change I've seen lately.
Yeah. Nice. Now, do you spend most of your time testing networks, web app, a combination?
Most of it is web apps.
Most web app?
Occasionally it's networks. So I kind of get free rein to, if I find a thread, I can pull on it.
Okay.
Which is pretty beneficial.
Nice. You have the freedom to kind of go
Yeah,
wherever the adversary mindset takes you, right?
Yeah, I'm basically an APT for an organization.
There you go. It's a good way to put it. So you probably spend a lot of your time in Burp, just because you do web app stuff. Do you have any favorite Burp extensions that you use?
My favourite extensions right now are HackVector, because nobody like decoding base64 every time you get make a request. It's an absolute nightmare. But the biggest one I found recently is Stepper. It allows you to step through multiple requests. So say you're pen testing something which is behind like authentication. You have to authenticate, you have to get a token, you have to use that token to do something else. And you can do a full, like you can have Stepper, do your authentication, take your token, do a whole bunch of other requests in sequence, which kind of makes building a complex attack chain a lot easier in Burp, without having to take your request, put it in a Python script, take the next request, and like just extend it down.
Yeah, because I remember, back when I did some testing, which I don't do very much anymore, but like, it's the what was it called, the request repeater function, where you could like literally right click and say, just give me this request in Python, Ruby, Yeah,
you can export it.
Yeah, and it would build it all out for you. And I remember actually utilizing that a lot for enumeration.
Yeah.
Like, hey, there's a whole directory of people on here. Like,
but if you can do that, where you can get a directory list from a request in Stepper and have it loop through.
Yeah,
directly
that's
with-
why I'm connecting the dots. This is like those type of tools allow you to just work so much
Yeah.
faster.
A big thing I've noticed recently is Lambdas, which are Lambda functions for your work requests.
Yeah.
It's basically a filter. I'm not a big fan of them because a lot of people just copy and paste Lambdas. It allows you to execute JavaScript in the context of what you're running burp in, which is remote code execution as a service, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of people, like especially people that are new to pen testing and new to the security world, do just copy and paste things.
Yeah.
That's why Stack Overflow exists.
Yeah, I was gonna say Stack Overflow, copy and paste right into.
Yep.
Yikes! So yeah, you need to understand what you're copy and pasting.
Yeah,
really.
you kind of understand what you're doing, right?
Right. So you spent a lot of time in offensive security. I imagine you got to write some reports and things like that. What's your methodology for documenting the work that you're doing?
So when I'm pen testing, I'll take notes and Obsidian, mainly because it's free.
Okay.
You pay a $50 commercial license, you can use it whenever you want. It's written in, all my notes are markdown based. Have a whole bunch of plugins. Best plugin I've got uploads any image I paste to an S3 bucket, and there's an encrypted S3 bucket, don't worry.
Nice.
Which allows me to take those markdown notes, run them through a Python script, and generate a report. Like, because I use our report template is written in LaTeX, I can use Pandoc to take that markdown, run it through a LaTeX template, and just spit out a report at the end.
Nice.
Which allows me to have like essentially a full CI/CD pipeline for reports.
Right.
I commit my markdown notes to GitHub, get a Jenkins job can take it, run it, and spit out a report at the end.
Okay. So you rolled your own reporting framework essentially.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which when some companies will message me on LinkedIn and say, check out this cool pen test reporting framework. I'm like, nah, you're fine.
Nice. So what do you do about your attack surface, right? So at the organization that you help protect, you have a massive amount of attack surface, and I imagine the company is dynamic and changing, releasing new code. How do you think about your company's attack surface?
So our attack surface is mostly monitored by another team. But when it comes to pen testing application, I'll tend to ask the team what they've changed. What's your new API endpoints? If you have a Swagger specification, makes my life a whole lot easier because I can just run it through Bishop Fox Swagger Jacker and just spit out a whole bunch of curl. But 9 times out of 10 they don't have that. So a lot of it is looking through code and trying to figure out what's actually changed. Engineers don't have time to tell me they've added like 50 endpoints.
Yeah, right. Most of the time you don't have the Swagger because it's not created yet.
It's either not created
or hard to chase down.
It's either not created or sometimes it's just there's no time to do it.
Yep.
Like being previously a developer myself, I know your time is very limited. You have to deliver features to your your organization and your customers. Sometimes documentation kind of slips by the wayside.
Yep.
Things are getting better with like auto generation documentation, but we're not quite there yet. But it will happen.
Yeah. You write a lot of open source tools, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the favorite ones that you want to plug here?
So
that can help other testers.
Most recently, Swagger Jacker by Bishop Fox. It wasn't doing bearer tokens properly, so you'd like give it a bearer token. It would just spit out the word bearer and not give you the token. So I made a change to the way I handled that. I've contributed as a packager to the Fedora project. I've contributed some stuff to various like iOS open source projects, macOS open source projects, Linux stuff. PHP BB. There was a framework years ago called PHP Nuke, which was the absolute most vulnerable content management system you'll ever see in your entire life, which is why nobody contributes to it anymore. I write a lot of like stuff in Rust. Like I recently wrote a blog post on how to build a shellcode execution.
Okay.
It was originally targeted for Sliver, the C2 framework, but also works with Cobalt Strike and various others.
Okay, that's cool. That's all on GitHub, right?
Yeah.
What's your GitHub?
I'm known as Affix, so AFFIX.
Nice.
And that's been my handle since I was like 15 years old.
Nice. What other advice do you have for up and coming penetration testers?
Don't give up too easily. Like, a lot of people fail. So when I done my OSED, It was the last of my offensive security certifications before I got OSCE 3. I failed that exam 3 times. I passed OSCP first time, OSEP first time, OSWE first time.
Which is extremely impressive.
And I failed OSED 3 times. The first time I failed it, I just thought about giving up. It is an extremely difficult exam. 48 hours to do binary exploitation, writing shellcode. It's an absolute, it is a beast of an exam, which is why it's so coveted to actually get it. Second time I failed it, I was super annoyed. That's the last opportunity the company would pay for it for me. And then the final time, I think because I paid for it myself, it kind of spurred me on to make sure I passed it, because like they're not cheap exams to do. But yeah, never give up.
Never give up. Okay.
Always reach out to people, accept people are smarter than you.
Nice. And
if you need help, don't be afraid. Some people will just say try harder or try smarter, which offensive security are trying to switch to. But if that happens, find someone else. People are willing to mentor you. I'm quite happy if you reach out to me to give you advice, whether that be career advice, personal advice, how to become a better developer. Loads of people like me exist in the industry, so
yeah,
don't be afraid.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have, and I think that's actually a perfect segue though to say, if someone does want to reach out to you, follow the work that you're doing, where can they do so?
AffixSec on Twitter. I'm also on the Hackbox Discord as .affix. Someone stole Affix before I had the chance to get it.
Don't you hate it when that happens?
Yeah, I'm also Affix on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Cool. Hey, well, thanks for chatting with us, Kieran.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.